Good morning, Year 8. It's Mrs. Reed and welcome to your English lesson. Can you make sure, please, that you have everything you need to get started today? You are distraction-free. You're going to need some lined paper, a pen, something to write with. And when you're ready, we'll make a start. Okay, today we have 4 questions to answer for retrieval. The first one is related to yesterday's lesson. I would like to know, who is the Mad Hatter? What can you remember about him? Number 2, what does the word mercurial mean? Number 3, can you remember the word tempestuous? We've come across this before in our learning, so do you think that would be a good word to describe the Hatter, and if so, why? And finally, I would like you to copy the sentences below. Make sure you use the correct form of there, and if you can, try to add the adjective mercurial to these sentences as well. Pause the video, complete all 4 tasks before you press play again. Off you go. Okay, let's go through some answers here. So for number 1, who is the Mad Hatter? You might have remembered that the Mad Hatter is a character from Lewis Carroll's stories of Alice in Wonderland. And what you can remember about him, well, you could have said many things. You might have remembered that the Mad Hatter was described really as quite an unusual, unpredictable character. Maybe we could use the word mercurial to describe him. He seems to behave somewhat erratically, changing his mood quickly and asking interesting riddles. So what does the word mercurial mean? Well, yesterday we talked about this, mercurial being a sudden or unpredictable change in somebody's mood. Can you remember the word tempestuous? This is going back to some learning from previous units. Well, this was a good word to use here because tempestuous means that you have very strong, conflicting emotions, maybe quite turbulent. I always think of a tempest, something very stormy and unpredictable. So do you think that might be a good word to describe the Hatter? Have strong and conflicting emotions? I think it might fit very nicely with the word mercurial here, the idea that his behaviour is erratic and unpredictable. Okay, finally, let's correct up these sentences. So you might have said that the Mad Hatter was a particularly famous character from children's literature. You might have put the word in mercurial, I suppose, in here, as it's an adjective. Okay, so he's a particularly famous mercurial character from children's literature. Alice first meets the Hatter and the March Hare at their tea party. So for this one, we need the possessive, don't we? It belongs to them, it is theirs. And they pose a riddle for her to solve when she is there at that place. Okay, just give yourself a mark then out of 4. All right, we're off to a good start. So Lewis Carroll omits a description of the Hatter's appearance from the novel, which is particularly interesting when we see so many different versions and portrayals of the Hatter in different adaptations of the Alice in Wonderland stories. However, most of them do have similarities. We can see in the way that he dresses, his bow tie, his large hat, for example, and perhaps even in his hair. We can see that there are similarities. What we're going to be doing today then is describing the Hatter and building our own written description of him. So in order to start, I would like you just to create for yourself a bank of words that could be used to describe the Hatter. So if we zoom in first of all on his features, we can look at his physical appearance and we can think about his hat, his hair, even his skin and his eyes, his smile, his clothing. So pause the video here and just try and get for yourself a bank of words that you could use to describe the Hatter. Okay, so you might have said a whole number of things here. You might have described his hair perhaps as kind of bright, wild, unruly. Maybe we've looked at his clothes as being rather garish and bright. We might have looked at his eyes as being striking, very piercing eyes that he has. Okay, so there's lots of different things that you could have included here, but you need to make sure that before you move on, you do have that bank of words, because they'll be really useful to you when we come to write some sentences. Okay, so a word to add to your bank today then is the word intense. This adjective describes extreme force or strength. Make a note of the word and the definition now. And I wonder, can you identify 3 aspects of the Hatter that you could describe as intense? Have a look at your bank of words now and see where that might fit. When I look at my bank of words, I might use it. I've written the words striking and piercing to describe his eyes, so I might describe those bright green eyes as being very intense. Over to you then. Pause the video. I'd like you to write a sentence about the Hatter, including the adjective intense. Okay, let's build on that now, developing our descriptive craft. In recent lessons, we have been practicing using a range of different sentence structures. We've talked about using double adjectives as openers, adverbs, ly ending words to open, as well as constructing not only but also sentences. These can be really useful for building up some descriptions of the Hatter. So, using your bank of words, I would like you to write 3 sentences. Try to follow this format and make sure, please, that you place the comma in the correct place. Okay, pause the video and have a go at that now. All right, well done. So we could have said perhaps that intense and striking, the Mad Hatter's eyes caught Alice's attention. Perhaps we could say unpredictably, the Mad Hatter asked Alice a riddle. Perhaps we could say not only was the Mad Hatter's clothing rather garish and eccentric, but also his hair was wild and unruly. Okay, so just check your sentences now. Do a quick check of those commas, please. So in the double adjective, it comes after the second adjective. In our adverb opening, it comes after the ly word at the beginning. And in our not only but also sentence, it goes before the conjunction but. Just make sure you've corrected those now if you missed any out. Okay, let's build on that a little bit more then. So now we've come to 3 new sentence structures, ones that we might not have used in class before. So I'm going to talk you through an example and then ask you to pause the video and construct one of your own. I really like these sentences. I think they really help us to build some interesting and detailed description. Let's start with the so and so sentence. I've written an example one here. Her hair was so white and her skin so pale that she appeared to be almost translucent. I would like you to have a go at this sentence to describe the Hatter. What could we describe? His something was so something, his smile was so intense, and his eyes were so something else. That, what did it make people think, or how did he come across or appear? Pause the video and have a go at using your bank of words to construct a so and so sentence. Okay, next up we have the central colon. We're using this piece of punctuation instead of the word because. Let's look at an example. It was difficult not to be rather stunned by her appearance, colon. Her hair stood on end in a way that seemed to defy gravity. Can we see here, I've omitted the word because. People were stunned by her appearance because her hair stood on end in a way that seemed to defy gravity. Okay, over to you. You need to write a sentence about the Hatter, but instead of using the word because, I'd like you to use a central colon. Pause the video and do that now, please. And finally, let's have a look at the repeat and develop sentence. Okay, so I'm going to continue describing the Queen. The Queen was tempestuous. In fact, she was so tempestuous that people avoided making eye contact with her in case they were targeted next. And if you know anything about the Queen of Hearts, you'll know that you definitely didn't want to be targeted by her. Okay, let's have a look then at the Hatter. The Hatter was what? You can choose one of the words that we have practiced. It could be mercurial, tempestuous, or intense. Then you're going to repeat that word again. In fact, he was so intense that, and you'll develop it by giving a reason why, like what happened as a result of him being this thing. Use my example here to guide you, pause the video and have a go at constructing one of your own now. Well done. Okay, our final sentence type that is new today then is about distance, and this can help us to build a really interesting description where we reveal more details about a character the closer that we get to them. It's a bit like a camera, starting far away and then zooming in for a close-up. Let's look at an example. From a distance, she could make out the shape of a short and stocky woman. As she moved closer, she noticed that the woman had malevolent, piercing eyes. She edged nearer again, noticing that the eyes were so dark it was difficult to distinguish the pupil from the iris. Can we see here as we're getting closer to the character, we're just revealing more information about them. So I would like you to practice this for the Hatter. We're going to use this structure. I can see we use a semicolon here and here. And we're going to build up this description as we get closer. From a distance, as she moved closer, this is Alice, isn't it, getting closer to the Hatter, and as she edged nearer again, what did she see? Pause the video and spend some time constructing your distance, closer, nearer sentence. Okay, well done. You have worked really hard on those sentences today. I'm very impressed. So let's see what the final task is. You're being asked here to use your beautifully crafted sentences to rewrite the tea party scene so that it includes more descriptive details about the Hatter. So you might want to include some events from the extract we read yesterday. Things like the Hatter initially shouts at Alice that the table is full, that the Hatter tells Alice she needs a haircut, and the riddle that the Hatter sets for Alice to answer. Before you start, make sure you have a plan. Okay, so in terms of your paragraphs, you'll want to start with your big picture first, an overview of the Hatter's appearance. So you could imagine you're really far away. Alice was struck by the sight of, just start here, then zoom in on specific features of his appearance, describe them one by one. Imagine that you're just moving closer to the Hatter, maybe using your distance closer sentence. And finally, making sure those sentences flow together, by moving closer, Alice noticed perhaps the strangest thing about him was. And Alice could not help but notice that. So you can use any of the sentence stems that are here. And you can also use any that you have planned already in this lesson. So pause the video now, or you can stop the video here and write your description of the tea party scene. We really look forward to reading them, so do make sure please that you upload your work when finished to Show My Homework so that your teachers can give you some feedback. Have a good day, guys. Bye.